Today I'm going to show you how to remove a pleat in a pants or trouser pattern if you don't want to have all that added fullness. This was a question I got from a subscriber last week, and I thought it would be fun to share how to do that. I'm putting a link in the description below to my tutorial showing the difference between pleats and darts in pants. And I've got some things here from that tutorial I want to share with you. Here is two fabric pieces sewn up. One of them has pleats and one of them has darts. Now, the primary difference between a pleat and a dart is a dart is drafted into the pattern by adding to the waist measurement, and then the darts take out the extra to fit around the waist. These darts direct the fabric down the leg, and a pleat is actually added to the draft by slashing and spreading it down the entire length of the leg, or maybe just to the knee. So that's something you need to consider, that pleats don't necessarily reach the hem. They may stop sooner than that. So we're going to have to figure that out if we're going to try to remove it. But I just think it's interesting to show the difference here, okay, with darts sewn up, creating a cup shape for your behind, or more shallow front waist darts can create some shaping for tummy in the front. And then the pleat, you can see here, I sewed the pleat down and I pressed in the extra fabric, you know, and it goes down the entire leg to the hem. So the way you would remove a dart from a back leg is you simply would not sew it, and then you would take it in on the side seam. So just for example, if I had two back waist darts, okay, so let's say you were working with your pants pattern and your two back waist darts were creating too much fullness across your butt, you could get rid of one, and then you could take in your side seam if you needed to. Okay, so that's removing some of the extra ease that you're adding underneath the tip of the dart. If you have a flat behind, for example, generally you just need one back waist dart, not two, or two smaller back waist darts. So getting rid of a back waist dart is very easy. You just don't sew it, and you can trim it off the side seam, and then you can also feel free to just move that dart around to get it to be flattering for your shape if it's not working where it was printed on your pattern. So that's how you deal with a waist dart. Now let's look at a pattern that has pleats. And you can see here, this is the pattern piece that matches what I have going on in this fabric sample. And you can see here that the pleats start at the top. The pattern was slashed and spread down to the hem. Now, how do we tell the direction of where those pleats are going? That's one thing we're going to have to look at. Another thing we're going to look at is how far down they go, because another example would be something like this, where the pleat only goes down to knee level. So let's look at a pant leg, and I'm just going to get this pant leg here. And generally, pleats are on the front leg. That's another thing I want to point out. Darts are usually back waist darts. Pleats are usually in the front of your pants. So let me just show you here. I'm going to cut these two front legs. And what you want to look for is at the top of the waist, you're going to have some lines that look like this. Let's do two. So let's pretend this was a trouser pattern with pleats. You're going to have lines up at the top of the waist, and what you do is you bring in one line to meet the opposite line for each pleat, and that pleats up the fabric. So it's pleating up here, and then what it's doing is it's drawing that fabric underneath that pleat for as far down on the leg as it was drafted. So if you take your long ruler, you know, if you have like a 48-inch ruler, this would be perfect for this. You would lay the ruler along the lines printed on the pattern and then continue those down. And that's how you're going to be able to tell where the pleat goes, because the angle of these lines dictates the direction of where the pleat goes down the leg. So you just follow along with those lines. Like this. And so now we know in this case, these pleats likely go all the way to the hem because they don't touch. Another pleat you may have, what if it has a little bit of, what if they're a little bit angled? If they have a slight angle to them, that would mean that they end before the hem. So if you've got pleat markings that look like this, and we were to follow those down, you can see what's happening is, let me just draw these. Okay, you can see these pleats don't make it all the way down to the hem. So that's one way that you can tell if the pleat in your pants pattern extends to the hem or if it just ends somewhere. So let's say in this example, we want to get rid of these pleats. What you would do is you would draw yourself a horizontal line at the base of the pleats, and one could be higher or lower. So let's say one ends there and one ends there. So one's a little bit lower, one's a little higher. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off here, and I'm going to cut along one of these pleat lines, and I'm just going to push that in like this. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of that first pleat. And then this one's lower, so we'll cut down to here and cut on one of the pleat lines and then close that one. Okay, so you can see now I've closed both of these pleats to make it a flat front instead of a pleated front trouser. And notice it's not affecting anything below, you know, anything down the leg because they ended sooner. So basically what I would do here is I would just true up my waist edge like this. So that's how you would get rid of pleats if they don't make it to the hem. And then if they do make it to the hem, you're just going to do the same thing. You're just going to cut all the way down a dart leg and slide it over. So you would do it here and tape it in place. And then you're going to do it on this one as well. And you're going to slide it in place like this to get rid of the front pleats that go all the way to the hem. Now, if your pleats go all the way to the hem, you want to double check after you get rid of your pleats. What I would do is I would measure upper thigh level right here. Measure that. Measure your knee. And if you've got a prominent calf, measure your prominent calf. Make sure you have enough ease in the pant leg after you get rid of a pleat that goes all the way down to the hem. If it works out that you need some of that ease back, you can extend your inseam and just sort of fill that back in like this. Okay, so if it's a situation where, you want to get rid of the fullness up here, but you need the fullness on the leg, you can put it back by, usually filling in the inseam will do it like that. You just make a nice something like that to give you some of the fullness back. You could also add to the side seam if you think you need to. But basically, these are the two ways to fill in a pleat. Oh, and let me just say, here, if this is funky, just give yourself a little bit of truing up here too. So, make it so it's not funked up there. And if this is a little bit funky here, just true that in. Okay, so that's how you remove a pleat, and this is how you remove a dart. I'll just stick them all here so you can see. Okay, if you have any questions or comments about how to remove back waist darts or front pleats on pants or trousers, please post those below and I will help you. If you're enjoying Fit Tip Tuesday, consider liking and subscribing to my channel. It helps me grow and I super appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day.